Welcome everyone to our City Council meeting for Monday, October 26th. Can we call the roll, please, ma'am?
Terry McClung.
Here.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
David Mitchell.
Here.
James DeVito.
Here.
And Mickey and Joyce are absent with notice.
Okay. Let's stand, pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Do we get an approval, a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any additions? All right, I've got two nominations on the hospital that I'll be bringing up, and we can talk about that if you all want to talk about them or not. They're existing nominations. But other than that, let's all those in favor of approving the agenda that's submitted?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? So moved. Get a motion to approve the minutes for October 12th.
So moved.
Second.
Any additions, corrections? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We've got a Ken Ketelsen has been submitted for approval for the CAPC for position 3.
Move to approve the nomination of Ken Ketelsen for CAPC position 3.
Second.
Terry seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. On the hospital, I think within your packet, MJ, Sell, position 6, and Robert Wadding for position 7. They're both are existing members of the hospital commission. MJ's expired last month, and so did Robert's.
Can we do them both at once or individually?
Probably individually would work better.
I
Motion
make
to
a motion to renominate Mary Jean Sell.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And now Robert Wadding.
Motion to approve.
Get a second?
Second.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. And then on the HDC, we'll have an application from Melissa Greene, which we'll be bringing up
It's here.
shortly.
It's in here.
Is it ready for now to bring up? Oh, okay. Get a motion?
I make a motion to reappoint Melissa Greene to the HDC.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. All right, that brings us down to, I would like to say again that we do have some vacancies on the Cemetery Commission, and if you're interested in working on the Cemetery Commission, please contact us. We really could use your help on that. So that brings us down to public comments. Nobody public comments? All right. Okay, next item is the unfinished business, and get an update on the winterizing the existing Public Works building.
Move to discuss.
Second.
All right. Talked to Dwayne, and we just got the core borings on the new building done last week, so we're going to be able to get that out. But in response to Mr. McClung's comments about winterizing the building, and going over it with Dwayne, the heaters are all okay, the roof's okay. We've got some doors in the back that we're sealing up, but it looks like for probably somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000 maximum, we'll be able to get that in a pretty well winterized. It's not going to be the best, but if we try to go in and we decided there's no sense in trying to insulate it and do all that, because if we did that, we'd be spending $20,000 easy. but we got a good roof on it. We do need some insulation replaced that we can do ourselves, and so within that $3,000 to $4,000 we'll be able to insulate it and winterize, seal the doors, and make it good for the winter. Yes, sir.
You know, my concern is that you know, I mean, I think it needs to be done right, and I understand, you know, not trying to get too costly with it, but I have some reservations that when the bids come in for the new building that they may be cost prohibitive. I mean, I don't know that, but I certainly have that concern.
Sure.
So I think they need to tighten it up, and I certainly think they need to be comfortable in there. If they're inside working, they shouldn't have to be wearing coats and gloves.
Right. Well, we have 2 heaters. Both heaters are okay, working on it. We're not going to be using any of the boys all meet down below the Public Works building, the administration building, where they're
Or lunchrooms.
Lunchrooms and staff meetings and everything else. So we're not going to be using any of that space in through there. So Dwayne seems to think that we will be, you know, it's still going to be a cold concrete area, but with replacing the insulation, it's going to cost us some money, of course, running the heating system in there because it's not an energy efficient building. But that's what we ran through last winter too. So I think right now, until we get the bids in, I'm hoping, Terry, that in all honesty that we've got a price for what it would cost to do the other building in the location where we're talking about. We're not adding anything, although we did have to get an engineer involved with the electrical system. And we've also applied, and we've had him go in and design to where we can put a solar energy system on the new building. And we've applied for a grant for that. That might add a little bit of cost to it. If we don't get the grant, we won't do the solar system or that work, but it'll be ready for it if we ever want to. So I'm hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that in putting it out for bids that we'll still be able to come in around the $220,000 mark, which is what our last bid was on there. But again, because of the soil borings and everything, that's what concerns me, because I don't know what the foundation, I don't know what the soil looks like underneath that building down there. So if it's bad, we could have extra foundation costs. You're right. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay,
Yeah. Any other questions?
And the $125,000 still in some account somewhere? So it's just a matter of an extra, a small change, 100,000?
Yeah.
Here or there?
Minor change. Yeah. So, any other comments? All right. Our next 2 items under the new business for the financing the new tram and amending the transit budget, both are going to be postponed until mid-November. So our next item is a resolution on the Indigenous American Day.
Move to discuss.
Second.
All right. This was something that was brought up to my attention last time. We've got a resolution in front of you in there if we want to go ahead and proceed with it. Mr. McClung?
what actually does it mean Indigenous American Day? Is that, I mean, would that be, if we're referring to the American Indian, wouldn't that be an easier way to say it, like American Indian?
We had that option in there. We had, Mr. Weaver suggested, there's Native American, there's American Indian, there's...
Or Native American would be good.
First Nations.
There was a lot of different, or not a lot, but several.
In looking at it, Terry, Canada has adopted the term First Nation to cover all peoples that resided in the Western Hemisphere prior to the arrival of the major European nations. the United States has adopted Native American as a term to be used with the treaty peoples. Those were the 500 and odd nations that signed treaties at one time with the United States. The Mexican government appears to recognize American Indian, and several other Latin American countries also use American Indian. And most scholars nowadays are using Indigenous or Aborigine. Aborigine has a very negative connotation among many of the tribes, as does to some extent Indigenous people. Any one of them is offensive to somebody out there.
Well, you know, to me, I think American Indian sounds a whole lot better.
It down in the middle.
It does to me. I mean, you know, I don't have. If there's Indian blood in my family, and there may be, it's pretty negligible. But my kids are, you know, they're on their mother's side, or my kids are card-carrying Cherokees. So what?
James?
Well, in the body of the resolution, it does mention Indigenous people, Native Americans, American Indians, First Nations. I mean, if you go with straight American Indians, the residents of Alaska might not fall into that category. So
that's why Canada particularly adopted their First Nation, because it includes several tribes of what we would call American Indians, probably, or would have 10 years ago, and the Aleuts and the Inuits and the other peoples that live north of primarily the 66th parallel.
Is that where the Americas quit?
Now,
I mean, there's North and South America.
Part of Canada goes, or part of Alaska and part of Canada both go north of there.
Into the Arctic. What's the Arctic region?
Bob?
Wasteland.
I don't know of latitude or longitude for it, but I was just going to say the same thing that James did, was when you use the term American Indians, you're excluding the Alaskan natives.
And that's kind of why the Canadians chose First Nation, and also they don't like the term Native American because it has been used with the tribes for many years that did make treaties, and some of the other peoples that didn't make treaties with one nation or another don't like to be lumped in with those. I don't think you can choose a perfect one. That's why they're all there. Except Aborigine, which seems to aggregate 95% of them.
I understand. This date obviously was could be formally known as Columbus Day.
Correct.
So in the employee is Columbus Day a holiday for the city employees?
No.
It's just a banking holiday that I'm aware of?
Not even that necessarily.
I think it's a federal holiday.
Federal. Mm-hmm.
It's just a federal holiday.
It gets the post office off.
Post office, probably
Okay.
state and federal government.
So we don't have to do anything about that. That we're just changing Columbus Day to this. We're changing it, but we don't have to say it.
Or adding it, either one.
Okay. Just checking.
Bob, did you have some?
Oh, I was just going to say, I thought that when James proposed this, he wanted to exclude Columbus, but this doesn't seem to do that because it says...
it mentions him, but it doesn't honor him.
Well, it says that we shall also recognize
I don't think we can
Indigenous people.
The reason that language is in there because we can't really exclude what the federal government already recognizes.
Oh, we can try.
We could take the suggestion that some of the groups have put forth that if we really want to recognize them, that they prefer to be recognized in the spring and the eternal upheaval of the earth and the newness of the, and that we should give them a date in the spring.
James?
I would move to assign this resolution a number and read it for passage.
I'll second that.
I have a question, and y'all, it's up to you guys. When we just wrote this, you want to leave down there in the 4th paragraph all those terms, strike any out?
I think indigenous is spelled wrong.
Yes, it is, and I thought the intention was to take everything else out.
I never heard that discussed,
It was,
unless I missed something. It
No.
wasn't discussed at the last meeting,
What, to discuss?
taking all the others out.
No, that was a comment that whether we should or not, that's what I just asked. How we want to approach this.
And then James and Rob just brought up, if you did that, then we wouldn't have native Alaskans if we
So
just
should we
left
keep
them.
them all in there?
Why, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be inclusive.
I don't want to leave anybody out.
just in that one paragraph?
Or should we include that in the title, in the resolution?
No, the title's good. Let's move forward.
Okay. I heard putting it in the title also.
Should we put in there, and anybody else that feels offended? Should we put that line in there?
No, because I think that would offend them then.
Think it would?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then let's leave it out.
Yeah.
So we're just leaving it in the fourth paragraph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No, Terry said put it at the top, too.
I thought we said no. He said we changed. I thought we said
No,
no.
it's fine.
We backed
No,
off that.
no.
Fine with the new.
No, we're going to leave it like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's read it. I'm happy with it.
I'm for leaving it like it
All right.
is.
We got a motion and a second to read it, and it's item number to read it.
Read it for approval, yeah.
So now, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, the resolution number will be 669. A resolution by the City of Eureka Springs declaring and proclaiming the second Monday of each October to be Indigenous Peoples' Day. Whereas the City of Eureka Springs recognizes that people have inhabited the lands that would later become known as the Americas long before the arrival of Christopher Columbus. And whereas the city recognizes the fact that Eureka Springs is built upon the homelands of those people of this region without whom the building of the city would not have been possible. And whereas the city values the many contributions made to our community through earlier inhabitants, knowledge, labor, technology, science, philosophy, arts, and the deep cultural contribution that have substantially shaped the character of the city of Eureka Springs. And whereas the city understands the importance of closing the equity gap between and by government entities, organizations, and other public institutions, and to encourage change in policies and practices to better reflect the capabilities of the indigenous peoples, Native Americans, American Indians, First Nations, and recognize their roots, history, and contributions. And whereas the United States federal government, the state of Arkansas, and the city of Eureka Springs recognize Columbus Day on the second Monday of October in accordance with the federal holiday established in 1937. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council that the city of Eureka Springs shall also recognize Indigenous Peoples' Day on the second Monday of October. Be it further resolved that the city of Eureka Springs shall continue its efforts to promote the well-being and growth of the Indigenous Peoples community. Be it further resolved that the city of Eureka Springs encourages other businesses, organizations, and public entities to recognize Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Thank you all.
Mrs. Boats will be proud tonight.
Next on our agenda is a resolution for disposal of city property. Get a motion to approve or to discuss?
So moved. Second.
This came about because we had a old police car valued under $1,000 that we had donated to the airport commission. And we can transfer and give away property without putting it up for auction if we give it to another government entity, the airport commission being one. They put up the sign on the door that it's donated by City of Eureka Springs, so when pilots fly into Eureka Springs and they use that car, and most of the time they come to Eureka anyway, they'll see that it is donated by the city. What we discovered was that even though in the state law the mayor can in one section of the state law, go ahead and authorize the transfer, disposal of city property without any resolution or anything. There's another part in the state law that says the city council needs to have a resolution. So because of the conflict, what I've done is propose a resolution to for the city council to read that basically we're giving a Ford Victoria that's valued around $800 to the airport commission, and that's what how this came about.
It's done a long time ago under another mayor. Is this that car?
No, this is another car.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, the other mayor took the decided that he would go ahead and use that first part of the state law and go ahead and give it to him.
I understand. But so this is a different car than that one?
This is a different car. This is one that just came up actually about a couple of months ago.
Oh, okay, got it.
And it was just recently pointed out to me, and I said, in order, if there's a question there, I'd rather bring it before the public and the council and dispose of it in that manner. So.
I make a motion to sign this resolution to authorize a number and read it for passage.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Question.
Yes, sir.
I just have a question. So this car's already been given to the...
Well, after we do this, it will be given,
Okay.
technically, yes.
When you have this kind of property, how do you decide who you're going to give it to?
Usually, if nobody wants it, and a lot of times nobody wants one of these cars, we'll put it up for auction, or we'll keep it and we'll auction it off with city property.
But
That's the only options we have.
Are there other agencies in the city that might need an old vehicle?
We ask, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we offer it within our own group first, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Like a councilman? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can add it to your fleet.
I might want to get a demolition derby or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Advertise for the city.
Uh-huh.
Just a thought.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I want to be sure that, it seems to me when something becomes available, every eligible group should,
Yeah.
know that it's there.
When we have staff meetings, all the department heads are there, and so they're always aware of the things that come up.
Right.
And a lot of things, for instance, the trams we have to put out for bid because that's a federal project. I mean, federal money is involved, so we have to, when we get rid of it, we have to bid it out. But with city property, if there isn't anybody who wants it, we'll just auction it off on there. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's so moved.
I was late, but I said aye.
Oh, okay.
The resolution number is 670, a resolution to authorize the mayor to dispose of city-owned property without receiving monetary compensation. Whereas the City Council of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, having been informed the Eureka Springs City Police Department has a 2004 Ford Crown Victoria vehicle identification number 2FAFP71W74X118061, valued at approximately $800, which is no longer needed for police operations, and whereas the city would like to dispose of this property to the Carroll County Airport Authority for use by the airport, which benefits the city of Eureka Springs. Now therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that the mayor is hereby authorized to assist the City Police Department in disposing of the Crown Victoria vehicle by transferring ownership to the Carroll County Airport Authority.
Thank you. And that brings us up to our next item on the agenda is discussion of water rate increase.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
I guess I'll kind of, even though Mr. Mitchell brought this up the last meeting, give everyone an update on this. Back in September, I think it was noted that we had been given a 25-cent increase by the Carroll Boone Water District. And I think at that time we were talking about trying to figure out whether or not we needed or we're able to or should pass this on to the residents of the city. And I guess this is where this is coming up at. When this was first brought up to the council back in 2013, Carol Boone noted at that time that there would be a rate increase of anywhere from 25 cents to 50 cents per 1,000 gallons. And I think what they had handed out and some of the information that we had received was we noted that within the Carroll County, our present rates for the water is around $9.90 for 2,000 gallons, while Berryville is $8, Green Forest is $16.62, Harrison's $11.75. So we're actually in the, I think what they're saying is around the 11 to 18 percentile rating, with the average rate in the state being $18. So we're not quite half for the 2,000 gallons. And if you go to 4,000 gallons, we're actually up, we come up within the percentile of 18%. Where the state median is $26 per 4,000, and our rate right now is $17.26. With a new rate increase, it would be $17.50 per 4,000 for 4,000 gallons. So we're still quite a ways below the 50 percentile rating.
Can you repeat those figures, Butch? I'm sorry. I mean, Mr. Mayor, it seemed like it was. I couldn't differentiate.
Now, there's 2,000 and 4,000 gallons was the different rates that we had. The state median rate for 2,000 gallons is $18.20. Our current rate is $9.90. Berryville's is $8. Green Forest is $16.62, and Harrison's is $11.75. So ours is $9.90. That's for 2,000 gallons. Now for 4,000 gallons, which is about the average of the residents, it jumps up to $17.26 for EUREKA. Berryville again is lowest at $13.90. Green Forest is $21.86, and Harrison is $19.85, with the state median being $26. And our rate is $17.26, which with the new rate increase would be $17.50.
Now, what are you saying?
Oh, wait a minute. I
You
take that back.
just got me right
No,
there. That's
no, I take that back. Adding a dollar would be $18.50 because it's 25 cents per 1,000.
Okay. So all you're doing, you're not charging any service fee on top of that or any.
No. All we're recommending is that we go ahead and pass on the 25 cent per 1,000 gallons increase to the residents that we're paying right now. That's
the only problem with that, in my opinion, is that if you're going to raise it, you might as well go ahead and raise it at a time when you can put a little bit of money to good use instead of doing it now and get 25 cents and then a year from now come back and say, well, you know what, we should have hit you a little bit harder than that, and maybe you ought to do it, maybe it ought to be 35 cents or 40 cents.
Well, the other thing, Terry, that we haven't done is we haven't raised our sewer rates in
2008.
I mean,
2008?
I don't think the amount that you're raising it, if you know, it's if you go to 50 cents on a $4,000 ticket, you're looking at $2, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that could be substantial for the city as far as repairs and things. So.
Yes, sir.
What do we use the water money for? Repairs of the water pipes and all that? Is that what he's saying when he said repairs for the city? If
Well-
we raise the water rate, does that help fix the water leaks in the pipes?
Any money that,
Debt service.
any money we get is going to go help do the debt service. I think mainly it's also, I mean, it's help paying that debt service because we still have that issue.
Then there's another point that Lonnie had brought up, and this was not this year, but the last council. And that was when we got into that big bond discussion. And at one point, Lonnie was... That was one before that. Lonnie ended up having to do the raise on his own. And then at the last council, we really didn't do anything, but when we started discussing the water meters, I believe Lonnie felt that because we were going to be capturing leakage and differences in billing versus what we were paying for, that we might buy us some good feeling or some gratitude or postpone the inevitable with the bond people, that we were not taking our increases up to the point where they should be, and because we were getting pretty close to being in deep trouble, if I recall correctly. So Terry's point is a good one. Is the 20? Are we going to just keep 20? And I guess we can do it each year, but based on what I think Lonnie had said, I think it comes up. But should we go ahead and go a little bit higher and bite the bullet now instead of just doing it every year, just keep creeping? That is a good point.
Well, go ahead. Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, why don't we add on $5 or $10? And, you know, I mean, I think if you're going to increase water rates, I understand what his rate increase. The other stuff is just arbitrary. You're just throwing out a figure. Oh, let's increase it, you know, another $1, another $2.
No, I don't think anybody's that cavalier about raising it $5 or $10. I disagree with you.
No, I brought up $5 or $10. I'm saying,
I thought that was kind of a cavalier statement because that we're not talking of that. I think it's kind of and I'll get off that. Never mind. The point is, I think that he brought up was, what if you went up the 50 cents, moved a little bit ahead of it? Would that help with the infrastructure stuff and not be too much of a burden? And I thought that was what we were discussing.
Anything that we raise it was going to help the department. Where it still wouldn't meet our 120% indebtedness probably, unless we did that. James?
Well, don't discuss these things on the low end of the scale. I mean, you have motels, hotels, restaurant, where those increases are significant.
Absolutely.
And may I remind council that the last time we had a significant rate increase, it was put disproportionately on the business community.
But it'll be again when you use this much water.
Well, so when you throw out a quarter here and a quarter there, when you're using tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of gallons of water, it is a significant figure. So
I agree.
I'd like to see a little bit of caution. You know, if we don't need to do it, then let's don't do it. We do have the issue of coming in compliance with the bond rating, fine and dandy. Myself, I'd rather see it in incremental steps than one large sum, because that one large sum comes off the top of the businesses here in the community. It may be $1 or $2 to a resident, which if you're on a fixed income, that adds up too. Don't get me wrong.
So is there a staggered, how many gallons do you get for the minimum water bill?
Lonnie? 2,000?
And so I'll just use the word because I hear from him frequently, the Crescent, and they use a lot of water. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of gallons, but they use a lot. Just my little bed and breakfast alone, my water bill was like, whoa, this summer. I mean, those jacuzzi tubs, I wanted to plug them up there for a while. It was getting ridiculous, but somewhere there has to be, and I guess we could just as easily pass the quarter, but then, and I'll ask Lonnie this, then is that quarter passing through, is that going to help anything with the bond or not?
It will help, yes.
Okay, that's good.
James, what's your thoughts on the 50 cents? Because you're right, this does affect it's going to hit the businesses the most. And then it is prorated. I mean, it's, you know, the more you use, you know, you're paying a little less.
It's a regressive scale.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's still,
Well, high users, yeah.
yeah.
You know, personally, yeah, I would, you know, I'm at the point where I'm going to have to do something soon with all the other costs that are coming at me from G's and everything else, but, you know.
Terry?
Well, especially if you're thinking about doing something to the sewer rates too. And of course, not everyone is on sewer, but so you know that penalizes that revenue already because there are a lot of septic systems in town. But that's just the way it is. But if you're going to raise that too, you know, if on that regressive scale, and I don't know what that breakdown is, it would be nice to take something like a high-end user, like you know, a restaurant like James and then the Crescent, and calculate what it's going to do to their water bill, and let's look at that and see.
The water rates are in your code book.
They're in here. Well, yeah. So I mean, but you'd have to add it on. I mean, it's across the board. It's not going to. It's going to be a 25 cents or 50 cents per thousand, and then. So yeah, I mean that's something we could look at, and yeah, we could.
Of course, yeah, I mean,
if you want me to sit
the
here and
thing we
figure
are
it, I
doing
can do it
is
now.
it is costing us anywhere between $6,000 and $8,000 a month right now that we're not recouping.
And there is the impact of the new water meters that more accurately calculated what was being used. It really wasn't an increase, it was just a much more accurate calculation
Right.
of actual usage. So some people are still adjusting to that. Does anybody have any idea what the sewer is going to be so we can...
We haven't even talked about that. I'm just worried. I was just trying to get something on the water just to keep getting stop the bleeding on that part
And how
of
many
it.
months? 4 months now? About 4 months of
April.
8,000 a month? So it's really time to make a decision
Yeah.
tonight.
James?
Could we get Lonnie to work out some of the numbers on a 25-cent versus a 50-cent increase, where that puts us on our percentage on the bonds? Because that, to me, is a serious consideration that we have to keep in mind. And if we can keep the wolf away from the door, then, you know, I'm all for that.
I know. I'm going to give you one of these microphones so you won't have to.
I can put those calculations together. The 25 cents will help because that, generally speaking, is about $8,000 a month, is in an average month, according to rough calculations. And so I can do what you are asking. It will be, to a degree, some estimates based on history that we have there. The only thing I would say another thing I would say about the 25 cents is we've gone about 4 months now, as David was talking about, and every month that we continue, that's the month that we're not going to recoup anything. And so, you know.
Terry?
Here's the thing: if we're using just for calculation's sake, if we're using 100,000 gallons is what we buy, but we're only billing for 50,000 gallons, so we're 25 cents short of what we're paying them anyway. So I mean, if you're going to try and recoup it, yeah, if you don't recoup all, then you're not going to gain on anything else. You're just going to pay the excess water bill. You see, you understand? Yeah.
We're losing if we're only collecting, if we're only...
We're billing for half.
Yeah, there we're half of what we're collecting, so half of it's still we're
Yeah.
not going to get.
Yeah.
I see.
So the 50 cents really just covers what you're actually buying.
Unless
Is that right?
Unless you start billing for more water and get it up. I see what he's saying.
Yeah.
I got it.
You're not. I mean, I hate to penalize the consumer for the inadequacy of the system. But what else are you going to do? I mean,
Which we're trying to fix.
yeah, which we're trying to fix, but
James?
User fees are the most equitable taxes there are, and the people that use it need to pay for it. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I'd like to see what the numbers come out on a 50-cent increase to at least buy us some time to get the other meters in. I mean, we still got 50% of the meters to put in.
Can we go ahead and get I guess an ordinance written and leave it up to the council to make that decision, 25 cents or 50 cents, to have that prepared for the next meeting?
And one more question of Lonnie. I hate to do this to him.
Okay.
But Lonnie, you know the bonds real well. I mean, and you know where we're at right now.
Okay.
So just thinking, if we went up 50 cents, are we going to meet the threshold that the bonds say we need to be at, or are we still going to be running short?
Still going to be running short.
Okay.
Terry?
as far as the bonds go, I could care less. As long as we're making the payments, they're happy.
Well,
I mean, that's the bottom line. They're happy. They're not going to squeal as long as they're getting their payment. They won't.
James?
Well, I think, between a 50-cent increase, which buys us time to get the rest of the meters installed, which could, who knows what one meter might bring you that, wasn't generating the
Might be
proper...
that one.
But still, half of the meters haven't been installed, so that could add up to some numbers there. So I would make a motion to draft an ordinance with the rate increase not put in the ordinance, that we will decide then what that increase will be based on some of the numbers that Lonnie could bring to us. And
Second that.
And the ordinance will be at the next meeting, ready for us?
yes.
All the numbers we need, okay.
Second
Okay.
that.
So the motion is that we'll have an ordinance prepared with a blank number in the rate increase and we'll discuss 25 cents after getting these information on how much that will help the city and what that will generate in the city. Okay. All those in favor, any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you all. We'll get that going. That's it. Agenda setting.
Nothing from me.
Nothing? Terry?
No, I don't think so.
James?
Not tonight.
Mr. Mitchell?
What about a sewer discussion, increase sewer? Is that possible?
We can have that brought up too.
And then the other one would be...
Lonnie has been wanting me to bring that up for
Oh,
every
well.
time we talk about this. And
Congratulations, Lonnie. You have the other one would
Blame
be...
it on Lonnie.
Blame Lonnie. That's a good one. I like that. What about we established the meeting schedule? We did November, December. Did we decide all that already?
Yeah.
we're going to have 2 meetings in November,
Okay, we did.
1
decide.
meeting in
In December.
December.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Final 2016 budget for approval by council.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We're still working.
Sure by
We're still working.
January?
No, we'll get something. Hey, we're doing good, aren't we, James?
Yeah, we're way ahead of the normal curve.
I'm good. Yes, ma'am.
We had a second on David's.
Oh, somebody seconded on the
Make a
sewer.
motion to- Oh, okay.
The sewer, wasn't
My
it?
agenda stuff.
Agenda item.
Agenda item.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'd like to add 2 things.
What's that?
And we need an ordinance to correct some language in the code regarding initiative petitions. We're not in line with the state.
State, yeah,
Okay.
that changed.
So, and the second thing is the third quarter report.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Mitchell, any comments?
No.
James?
All right.
Mr. McClellan?
Two things. One is that I'm appreciative of the mayor's efforts in trying to find out what the situation is with the fountain at the top of Plainer Hill. It is a water feature that adds to, you know, the aesthetic value of Eureka Springs and people's first thing they see, you know, and how water's always a good thing in that nature, and it'd be nice to have ours running again. And so, you know, hopefully we can figure out what it is, and by spring it'll be back online again. Second thing is, again, it's water related, and we haven't talked about it in a long time, and I haven't been down there in a long time, and I need to make a drive down there. It's Black Bass Lake. As much as I hate it, I mean, it's going to be a money pit, but we're going to have to look at it again.
I have, in regards to that, I'll make it real brief. I've been telling the Northwest Arkansas Economic Development people that our next grant is for Black Bass Lake, and that's what I'm pushing on. I mean, that once we get our tunnel drainage down below Flint.
When is that happening, by the way? Have you got any ideas?
Well, the engineers just sent back their final contract, so they'll be starting work. So, I don't know, hopefully we can get things done and get it torn up. And
over the off-season?
During the off-season.
That's great. That's great. I'm tickled.
And so once we get that going, I said, you know, we have a lot of infrastructure needs, but the Black Bass Dam is my #1 priority to getting the grant monies. So we're working on that real hard.
No comments.
Okay. This weekend is the final weekend for Voices of the Silent City. It's a wonderful presentation out at the cemetery. Friday and Saturday, October 30th, 31st.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go to it.
I wouldn't be caught dead if I were you out there, but but no, it is. They've got some great performers. Some of the people may remember some of the characters in there, and because some of them aren't too far gone, and some of them have been gone quite a long time. But it's a wonderful deal, and it's sponsored by, and it's a benefit for the Eureka Springs Historical Museum. So it should be great weather out there. Also, over at the auditorium Thursday and Friday is Anna that has been being put on. I haven't been yet, but I understand it's a great performance. I want to go down and see that.
Thursday and Friday?
Thursday and Friday. Okay. So you can go on Thursday night.
Yeah. I want to do that.
Me too.
I do.
So.
I think it's got real limited tickets, and it's real small audience. Yeah, it's pretty small. So.
It's a small, yeah.
Oh, there's 4 nights of it. Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, Terry, let's get the tickets and go.
Let me ask you, how do we go about getting tickets for that program?
Online.
Online, what do I look up? Just online?
Anna at the Odd. Anna at the Odd. Yeah. ANNA at the Odd.
Thank you.
That's great. So that's how you get the tickets. Also, any of the council members who want to go to the Municipal League Conference is going to be held over in Rogers, December 2nd through the 4th. So if you want to go, let Kim know, and we'll put your registration in for that. And you can at least go for one day if you want, or you can go for, all 3 days. And November the 1st, there will be the Zombie Crawl Parade, one of the well-known parades of Eureka Springs. Be at 3 o'clock. 11th, November 11th, November the 7th and 8th is Diversity Weekend. November the 11th will be a Veterans Day Parade at 10 o'clock. And November the 14th will be the Porch Parade. And November the 26th will be the Turkey Trot out at Lake Leatherwood. And November the 27th through 29th is Eureka Beard Off. all day and evening in various locations into there. And somewhere, I guess, we had a mini Cooper parade over the weekend, because I saw about 100 or two all through the town, so a bunch of them. And that's all I have.
Second.
Thank you all.